sometimes I see this, like, it says watch on your TV, and I think, I'm not at home, and I'm not on my Wi-Fi. Like, what happens if I push that button?
You know, my neighbors are all going to be watching.
Like, whose TV is it going to turn on?
All right. I lied to you. There was a little bit left in that. I knew you. I came clean.
The Catholic Man Show contains high levels of manliness. If you think you may be too weak to withstand the manliness represented in the following program, please
Juan, are you
do
sure we're
yourself a
1 and
favor and
3
stop
track?
listening now. If you choose to continue in spite of this warning, if at any time you
I
feel
think we're
yourself
2 and 3,
overcome
but
by the manliness, stop immediately and consult
whatever.
your
Yeah,
closest
as long as we have all 3 of them on,
professional.
we're good.
And now, for the not-so-fair, faint, or frilly, we present the Catholic Man Show.
El Correcto.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So, gentlemen, raise your glass. Adam Minahan here, sitting with the beardless Dave.
So, it's been a big week.
What? I feel like you haven't done anything.
Some dedicated listeners might know that with the birth of my last child, I started a new tradition.
Oh, I didn't know we spoke French and Spanish and English on the Catholic Man Show.
Sometimes a little Portuguese.
Man,
I will admit, though, my Portuguese sounds an awful lot like my Spanish. But that's not what it is sometimes when I decide.
I understand.
So I started a new tradition.
Okay.
That whenever a child is born, whenever my offspring increase, I shave the face. New birth tradition.
The beardless wonder.
The beardless Dave reemerges. Not that it's like a great thing, but it's just a thing that I do. You
Right.
know. And so I'm could not be happier to announce that the birth of my first son was born on Trinity Sunday.
Yeah! Ooh, yes.
David Philip Niles Jr.
What are you gonna call him? I haven't, dude. We have not talked. Like our paths have been very separated.
Let's discuss it over a glass of whiskey,
okay,
shall we?
yeah, because I want to know what's the plan.
Yeah.
On
Sure.
how, what do you call this?
Yeah.
This fine gentleman.
Yeah, because nicknaming other people's kids is like
Is not
some people are cool with it, some people aren't.
right.
I
Nickname all of Juan's kids. He's not cool with it, but it's okay. I
Right.
do that. That's something I do.
'Cause I don't speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
So he's
mostly.
like, that means the cabinet. It's like, no, it sounds really cool. It doesn't matter.
El Cabinete.
So I want to know.
El Diablo. It's Spanish for like some sort of fighting chicken.
So I want to know about that. I want to know how Pamela's doing.
We call him many things.
Yes.
You know, he's only he's just over 24 hours old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so we call him Baby Davy.
Okay, see, Haley started calling him Baby Davy, and it's like, oh, pump your brakes.
Yep, we call him that. We call him Baby Junior, Davy Junior,
Davy Jr.
Little David. I mean, right now it's kind of an experimental season.
Okay.
When it comes to here you go, Juan. Cheers.
Cheers. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. Hey, we should definitely give a cheers to Baby Dave.
To David Jr. May we all be a saint.
That was
in heaven. May we all get there. I mean, I thought you were going to do it, and then you didn't do it, and I feel like I shouldn't have to do it.
Well, as the dad, I thought you were wanting to. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
It's like, you know, somebody else toasts you.
I just didn't want to steal your thunder.
It's like I'm toasting myself.
You're not, but it was your child. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make that weird. I was not
really
thought
ready.
I was etiquette wise. I thought it would.
No, see, I think it's a good question, but I think that the etiquette is that somebody else would toast
to your son.
You just had a son, you know, like, well, let's raise, you know, see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because, yeah, that's what I would do. Let's just drink. Let's just drink.
To Baby Dave.
To Baby Dave.
Yes. So excited. So, okay, so you said you didn't know exactly experimental phase.
we're testing out the names. We didn't know if we were having a boy or girl, so it was very, very exciting. He was born, and I was like, look, buddy.
I want to know what first
I gotta
thoughts.
tell you something. You have 3 sisters. Okay, so I know you're not quite, you don't really understand that yet.
Just you and me, man.
I want you to you gotta know that. Before they get here, I want to tell you. I want to just spring it on you like that.
It's just me and you, man.
Yeah. So, the Niles name, if it doesn't continue, it's not my fault.
Okay.
If he becomes a priest, then it's like, hey, I gave it a shot.
It was
God's will. Right. Exactly.
Okay. So, the thought. So, we've been talking about, even last week we were talking about the idea because we talked about raising daughters, and we were talking about the difference of holding a daughter for the very first time and the difference of holding a son for the first time.
Yeah, it was way different. It was more different than I had anticipated.
Okay.
And it's hard to really explain.
I know, dude. Last week I didn't listen to our episode, but I thought, man, I just did not articulate that well. But it's because I didn't know how to say the things that I was feeling when I was holding a daughter compared to a son.
And using a boy's name, talking to your own children. Because for me, it's I'm just always using girls' names, and you kind of talk to your little girls,
right? In a girly
Princess Way, whatever,
right.
But so yeah, there's been a lot of differences, more differences to come, I'm sure, because
dude, you have no
it's
idea.
been so soon,
yeah, right?
It's very new,
right?
But anyway,
the reaction of Pamela when you finally baby came, you said it's a boy.
So
what happened? You don't have to go super detail, but
pseudo catching the baby.
Sweet.
And so I grabbed the baby and put the baby on Pamela, gave the baby to Pamela, and it all kind of happened so fast, and I didn't want to drop the baby.
Right.
That
would be bad.
And it's so I gave her the baby, and I had to tell her, I don't know what it is yet.
You didn't look?
I couldn't see. Just the way it all happened, I was trying, and I just didn't. I didn't get a view.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was hey, because we had gone over all right, get the baby, hand it to Pamela.
Right.
But so just the way it happened, I didn't have an angle. Okay. So I told her, I don't know what it is yet. So she lifted him up, and I was like, it's a boy.
What was her thought? Well, what did she say?
She
Do you
said
remember?
she was just
Ecstatic?
oh, it's a boy.
Yeah.
Just
ecstatic and pumped and relieved that it's
because
now done.
Whether it's a boy or girl, you're just
pumped.
oh, it's a
right.
That's one of the great things about waiting to find out if it's a boy or girl, because you have this incredible moment. It's an incredible moment anyway, but getting that it's a boy or it's a girl, I think especially Pamela said that it helps in the last few days of pregnancy, because at the very end, that's the hardest part, for women,
We've been told.
Yeah, I mean, they got the anticipation of this is going to be over soon. You're getting bigger, more uncomfortable. The baby's getting big.
Yeah.
And so having that, something to look forward to, she said kind of, at least for her, she finds that helpful, But anyway, that's the story. It's very good. So anyway, wait, one more.
Okay.
So he's a junior. My dad's name is also David Niles. I'm not a junior.
Right, because the middle names are different.
He and I have a different middle name.
Okay.
But David Jr. was born on Trinity Sunday, and there are, in fact, now a trinity of David Nileses, because there are 3 of us.
Right.
Dude,
that's so awesome.
It's that was kind of cool. Shout out to Jim Spencer. He's the one
who
pointed
those dots.
Yeah, he put that together.
Yeah, our bodyguard, who's not here this evening, but
yeah, we're vulnerable right now. Someone could break in.
I shouldn't have said anything.
We're susceptible to attack.
Yeah, but dude, whenever, so when we received the text message of the baby, we saw the baby, and all you did was send a picture to our group message. To Juan, me, Sam, and Scott. You just send a picture to us, and there was no indication if it was a boy or a girl.
Pamela and I hadn't decided if we were going to tell people or wait till they came. And so it's are we telling people? Are we not telling people? We definitely.
I don't know. I hit send.
Right. So I just sent the picture, and it was and then other things happened, and we kind of forgot about you guys, and
That's typical. Yeah. Yeah, so my first thought was when I received that text message was like, oh, we got another girl, because I thought if you had a boy, that would like
I definitely would have said
there would have been a declaration, on this text message, but I was wrong.
I have begot a man by the help of the
all
Lord.
day. Juan and I were together.
You guys were fishing.
Yeah, and Juan and I said over and over again on the way up there and way back, we were just so happy that you had a boy, that everything was delivered well, like Pamela was doing well, everybody was doing well. She's just incredible.
Like when you watch your wife,
well, women in general are incredible.
But when you watch your wife give birth and just like see all that they go through, it is just like for me, I just have never seen her. It's like, I have just never been so proud of you. Like, you are amazing. Like I think that all the time, but like, you are amazing. That was awesome.
Right.
Like,
sure,
you did great.
Yeah.
And just because they just power through.
They do.
And just
honestly,
just get that baby out.
They don't have a choice.
No,
in the matter.
No, they don't. But
it's amazing.
I've only seen my wife do it, but just go into like this frame of mind and like just perseverance and determination.
Was I part of any of the were my prayers or anything about me related to any of the contractions?
I'm sure, Adam. I mean,
that's really what
I'm almost
that's
sure.
what we really need to know. But the listener wants to know.
Almost sure of it.
Almost sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the almost sure.
Yeah.
There's the music. Wow, that was a quick 12 minutes. So when we get back, we're going to hit a break. If you're on radio, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. If you're on podcast, in 30 seconds, we'll be right back. We're going to talk about our drink a little bit because we haven't even discussed that. I want to at least mention about Luke's weekend, and then
we got a Father's Day giveaway.
And Father's Day. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll be right back.
Title of the video.
What'd you title it?
I put, if you want to support, go to www.
And that was it?
And that was it.
Keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm good with it, Juan.
Look, if you don't know.
Support the Catholic Man Show on Patreon by going to www.
It's sort of like the island of Tortuga. If you don't know where it is, you can't find it.
You can't find it. Yeah. I'm good with that one.
If you have to ask, you'll never know.
People can connect the dots.
I'm into suspense these days.
I'm good with it. All right, let's keep rolling.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We got Juan Posada running the buttons. We do have a topic today. It does fit in with the theme of the show, which is
always wonderful.
New
Can I
babies.
add some other exciting news?
Please.
A listener, Sean. I don't want to say his last name because I didn't get permission to do this, but
okay.
Avid listener of the Catholic Man Show. His name is Sean. He just found out that he was selected. He and his wife were selected to adopt a new child.
Oh, awesome!
And he's been trying for a long time. It's been a lot. And not only did he find that out, but the same week, maybe the week after, he found out he got a new job. So he got a new job and a new baby, all in like a week. So
there's one more. They say
everything comes in threes.
In threes.
So shout out to Sean. He's a great guy.
Sean, now is the time to play the lottery. Okay. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Don't miss your shot.
So we skipped over what we're actually drinking.
We didn't intend to, but things got a little carried away.
Which is okay. I'm okay with it.
I do have one more story.
Good.
I shaved my beard.
Right.
And when I came out of the bathroom, my two oldest daughters were in my room, and my oldest daughter, Elizabeth, looked at me like with this look of confusion, and I realized she doesn't know who I am. Like, she literally doesn't know who I am. And so I said something.
She's never seen you without a beard.
Well,
that she can recall.
Yeah, that she could remember. And so I said something, and then her face got even more confused. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Dad's voice came out of that weird face.
Yeah.
And then I said, some more stuff, and she just started laughing and smiling. And then my other daughter, Mary, she hadn't been paying attention. And she looked up, and she did kind of the same thing. And then Mary, my second daughter, she's laughing. She said, "You look like a girl." It was so funny.
Nothing to give you confidence like your daughter.
I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. She's like, "You look like a girl. You don't have it. Where's your beard?" And she's 3. And so it's not like she's just saying it because she thinks it's true.
That is hilarious. That is so funny. Okay, so what whiskey did you pick out this evening?
We are drinking Port Charlotte, heavily peated, Isla single malt whiskey. Okay, it's by Bruichladdich.
Yes.
The distillery.
Mm-hmm. The distillery
of Bruichladdich. It's a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
It is heavily peated. I just had it. I had a little bit over at my brother-in-law's house, and I was like, "Hey, that's pretty good. Let me pick up a bottle for the show." And so,
what's it running?
This was about $65.
Okay.
So I'm
very average for Isla whiskey.
And, pre-tariff, it would probably, 50-ish.
Okay.
So hopefully things work out where the tariffs go away and we can get back to those better prices.
One of the things that I instantly caught on to whenever I was trying this whiskey was that I noticed that it was 50% ABV, so I thought, oh man, this is gonna have a bite. Mm-hmm. Because typically 46,
50% is
is strong.
100 proof is strong.
It's strong, and so I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna have to really get my big boy pants on for this whiskey, thinking like it's gonna bite. But dude, it is smooth.
You don't even notice.
It is very smooth
because the difference between 40 and 50% is 20% or 25%, depending on if you're going down or up. If you go up from 40 to 50, it's a 25% increase. If you go down from 50 to 40, that's a 20% decrease. But you see what I'm saying? The numbers, they go different ways. But 25% more alcohol than your standard whiskey, you don't even notice. If you weren't told that, you wouldn't be able to tell, I don't think.
No, it's very good. And it's not as peated. I wouldn't say it's not a in your face as much as like Lafroig 10.
No.
Even though it says heavily peated. But I would say that it's stronger peated than Ardbeg.
Yeah, I think it's probably very close to Ardbeg peat level. Ardbeg has more of the iodine as well,
right? And Band-Aids
and smoke.
Iodine and Band-Aids.
Right. This one's not very smoky necessarily, but it is peated.
It's not smoky.
Whereas when you have both, you kind of get like it's a double whammy kind of, because the peated and smoky are kind of in the same genre of flavors. So this one's peated, and the Ardbeg is both. So it does have a heavier flavor to it, I would say.
Right.
But really, I think this is good.
Yes.
It's in the same price range as Lafroig and Ardbeg.
Right. Well, not Ardbeg. Ardbeg's still pretty cheap.
Well,
$40.
So it is. We can buy it around here. I was talking to a liquor store guy, and he said it's going up, but that Ardbeg is just significantly less popular, and so they still have
some that's
in stock.
I gotcha.
So it's still at that lower price because
but it's not going to be for long.
Yeah, they said once they start having to sell new shipment, it'll be the same. It's going up to 60 something like.
Well, right now it's at 40 at Park Hill.
Yeah,
so
I know. And
go grab some if you're in Tulsa.
Yeah, if you're in Tulsa or anywhere else you see it, snatch it up.
One of the other things that's really awesome about one of us having a new baby is that we have the baby bottle.
Yes.
And for the new listeners, why don't we explain a little bit about the baby bottle, and then I want to talk a little bit about Luke's weekend. So go ahead. So let's talk about the baby bottle.
So the baby bottle, between Adam, Juan, and I, we all pitch in to buy a really nice bottle of scotch, because scotch is really good. If you like the $60 to $80 range, is kind of all in the same level of scotch. But once you get over $100, and if you get up to like $120, you really do enter a different realm of scotch, where you say, oh, like that is nice.
Right.
I did not realize,
right.
So we have a bottle. We call it the baby bottle because we only drink it after one of us has a baby. So it's
one of our wives.
One of our families
Right.
has a baby, right? Yeah.
Distinctions.
Yeah, sure. They specificity.
Apparently, it's a big deal with gender these days of being able to understand who has babies and who doesn't. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, well, families have children. I mean, women don't do it by themselves.
Right.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, they birth.
So what happens is when a man and a woman marry and
when
they
a man
love
and a
each
woman
other.
have a special love for each
Yeah.
other.
So anyway, Balmore 18 is what we have right now.
That's the one we have right now.
Yes.
And so we only, and then at the end, we'll bust it out, have a cigar, and then we mark it on the bottle where we stopped, because the next time when we drink it,
because I don't trust you. The real reason why we
it
mark
did
it
start
is
off
'cause,
that way.
like,
It's like,
I don't trust you
because you're going to be
guys.
pulling nips from that bottle.
I don't trust you, Phyllis.
So anyway, it's a good tradition that we have, as friends, that we do, and
It just gives us an
It's just
opportunity
fun.
to celebrate.
and you get to enjoy a nice scotch that we wouldn't be able to
Right.
prudently afford otherwise, you
Right.
know.
I mean, I can't afford a $200 bottle of scotch, but if three of us go in together for a special occasion, I could possibly afford that.
Right.
Once every 6 months or 9 months.
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
at the rate that we're going, I may still be going broke. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Which we're talking about responsible parenthood
Yeah,
today,
it could
which
be,
would great.
between the three of us, if we each have a kid every 18 months, it could be every 6 months breaking out the
Well, we've talked about this. What we need to do is we need to
incorporate
recruit
a little bit more young blood.
We need to recruit a young guy who's just starting.
Hey, you just got married.
Right. Into our group.
We have a tradition.
Right. And I would like to be a part. I would like to bring you in and then take advantage for the next 10 years. So anyway, so Luke, we went on our fishing trip for Luke. So Luke is next week is receiving First Holy Communion. Please keep him in your prayers,
Yes.
if you could, please. He is very nervous about his first confession.
I thought he did it already.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Not yet. He's talking to Father Brian tomorrow, and then probably having his first confession.
So tomorrow is just the talk, not the confession, or it's the talk followed by confession?
Probably followed by, as long as he passes his understanding of what's taking place.
Okay.
So he's pretty nervous. The first thing he said was like, "But Dad, I just don't want to upset Father."
Uh-huh.
Like that was like, and dude. So he said a prayer tonight. Like, so we have a family prayer after dinner every night, and he asked if he could say a prayer for his first Holy Communion as a family. And I said, "Absolutely, buddy. I will let you pray. We'll say our family prayers, and then I'll let you take the reins."
Yeah, because you're a man now.
And he, like, I want to pray like that kid.
Nice.
He just absolutely nailed it. He exposed, like, he was very vulnerable. He was fighting tears.
Wow.
He was asking the Lord. He said he asked the Lord for courage to follow through with his first confession. He prayed for all the other kids who were going to be receiving his first confession, First Holy Communion. He prayed for his family. And he asked all this through the intercession of the Most Blessed Virgin Mary and St. Joseph and our family patron saint, St. Gerard.
Nice.
And, like, he cut it off quick because he was getting emotional. So it's like, man, I want, like, that was a beautiful prayer. That was just a beautiful prayer. So anyway, before his first Holy Communion, we wanted to have a trip. We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
To kind of almost like a rite of passage for him. So we went floated down to Illinois this last weekend. Juan was there. All the main men who were influencers in his life went, except for you. I mean, obviously
I was going to be there.
You were going to be there, but anyway. Yeah. So my dad, my two brother-in-laws, Juan, myself, and Luke, we all went, and he felt like he was such a big kid. In fact, the first thing he said was when he got back, he went over to my mom, his grandma, and like measured himself height-wise on her, and he said, I think I grew a little bit from the trip.
Yeah.
And so, like, he just,
I'll tell you, I feel bigger.
He did so great. I mean, he's
got a big fish.
Yeah. That's a little debatable, but yeah, he caught a big fish. Uncle Holden caught it and let
him reel it in.
Let him reel it in. Yeah. So
okay. You can't,
But he held it. Uncle Holden helped him get off the hook, but then he held it and he did really well.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch anything. So Juan barely caught something. The lure caught his hat.
Yeah, I saw that.
There was a lot of things that happened. So anyway, but when we get back, we're going to talk about responsible parenthood. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. Dude, let me tell you, when Luke hit the prayer tonight after dinner, both Haley and I looked at each other, and we realized he's almost in tears, which made us almost both be in tears, because it was just such a, like, there's very few times where I feel like that was just a sincere, genuine prayer. Mm-hmm. Like, it crossed off all the boxes that needed to be crossed off. Your vulnerability, like what you feel like you need help with from the Lord, other people, the love of other people that, you want to make sure that they're taken care of, your family, and through the intercession of the people that, you're closest to, the saints that you're closest to. And like, he just didn't miss a beat. I was just like, there was very few times that I felt more proud of him than like listening to him,
I know what you mean.
Freelance a prayer.
Something similar happened to me recently. We were talking about, Luke receiving his first communion. And so my oldest daughter, Elizabeth, does have a very mature spirituality for her age. Mm-hmm.
She definitely gets from her mom.
Yeah.
Not from her dad.
I mean, it doesn't matter where she gets it from, okay? That's not important. What the important thing is, so I was asking her, like, because I had the suspicion that she actually might be ready, knowledge-wise, to receive First Holy Communion. Mm-hmm. So I was asking her, what is the Eucharist? And she was, giving me some good answers. So then the next day, my brother-in-law, Uncle Father Sean, was over. We were having dinner, and he was mentioning, I asked him or something, and he's like, yeah, well, I'll typically interview the kids. Mm-hmm. Ask them some questions, see what they say, to see if they're ready, right. And so I said, just see how Elizabeth does. And so he was just asking her these questions, and just hearing her responses to questions she had never been asked before.
Right, it wasn't staged, it wasn't prepped.
Just, you could tell, like, she, in her own 5-year-old way, really knows God, mm-hmm. and really loves him in a deep way for a 5-year-old. And it was just hearing her answers, I was fighting back tears. Yeah. And just,
Dude,
thankfulness for, like, that God had given me such a beautiful child, and that she loved him so much. It was very touching.
I've noticed growing older is, like, as a man, you just get softer.
Oh yeah, the older you get, you just turn into a crybaby. I'm gonna be a wreck when I get older.
I am too, man. Like, and this is all hitting me like it was like I was doing this, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, like I went way up, like just peaked really quick.
And I think like when you have young kids, maybe you soften up a little bit, and then you harden back up through the teenage years.
Maybe so,
yeah. And then grandkids come along, and you're
just a puddle.
You like level up to a new soft level.
Yeah, you're just a puddle.
Just mush.
Yeah, I mean, but like there have been so many times
virtuous mush
where I would never have like cried.
Right.
And like something said, like my son says something, or my daughter like looks at me, she's looked at me, and I've been like, okay,
that's bad, dude. I will tell you that's bad.
I know, I'm getting soft. I'm getting soft. Hey. I know. Sorry.
Slap you around a little bit.
What just happened?
Right.
I blacked out a minute. So, all right, let's keep going.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm not crying.
Yeah.
You're crying.
This is the Catholic Man Show.
Those are your tears in my eyes. They're not mine. I'm not crying.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show, here with David Niles. Juan on the buttons. Thank you so much for helping us out, Juan, this evening. Had a chance to see Ignacio very recently, and the kid, the boy is just a stud.
I saw that kid today.
He's just a stud.
He is like...
I can't wait for like
that is a water...
15 years from now, he's going to look back and be like, see guys, I am a stud.
Yeah.
I hope he does that.
Told you.
Yeah, I told you I'm a
It was
stud.
apparent from the beginning.
Right.
But
So-
I mean, the guy has like a weapon for a head.
Yeah, his hair is just
It's like,
luscious.
yeah, if he's not a football player.
Okay, so hold on, Dave. I just want to talk really quick about our Catholic Mancho Father's Day
The
giveaway.
yeah.
We're giving away
Let's do it
hey,
quickly.
Why don't you pick it up right behind you? It's right behind you. We're giving away a Yeti cooler. We teamed up with a bunch of other Catholic influencers. Catholic Answers Live. Oh, we just knocked over a bunch of stuff.
Behold.
I said Catholic Answers Live. I'm sorry. Catholic Answers. Catholic Woodworker, the Catholic Guardians, Catholic Imagery, Catholic Connect. There's a bunch of guys that helped us. Oh, you just broke
It's
that.
Fine. It's fine.
But,
It's nothing's broken. It just
we're
fell.
giving away about over $500 worth of stuff for Father's Day. All you have to do is go to thecatholicmanshow.com/giveaway, or just you can get there at thecatholicmanshow.com, and there's 6 ways to enter for you to win. We're gonna go live on June 17th to announce the winner.
C.
It's gonna be great.
C.
Okay.
Mucho C.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Is that Juan? Do you say mucho C? Did you
Mucho.
ever say that?
Mucho. Yes. Yiddy. Yeah. I'm sorry. Juan says it's pronounced Yiddy. Yiddy, not Yeti. So, and Jan, Jan is the man of pronunciations.
Yeah.
So
I think it's Juan.
Juan. Okay. So we're talking
I mean,
about.
he is Jewish after all.
We're talking about. He is a fulfilled Jude. Yes. So we're talking about responsible parenthood this evening.
Yeah. So there's a few aspects to responsible parenthood. The primary one is that we're called to a responsible parenthood when it comes to building our families. The other parts
Well,
are...
now that you have your boy, you must be done, right? Right,
Yeah,
Dave?
okay, you got your boy.
You got your boy. You're now done.
Right.
Right.
Of course, because... And I'm actually willing to see if I can unload some of these girls, because I only want 2 total, so I'm thinking the middle 2.
When we had 3 and the third one was a girl, it was okay, good, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Because now you got your girl.
Right.
You're all done. 2 boys, girl, call it quits.
If you have more, I'll be mad at you.
Right.
Yeah.
There's even people that I work with that are blown away that I have 4, and they ask me. I think it's really funny that people really want to know about your sex life, insofar as
What it blows me away was when other people volunteer stuff about their sex life. One time, Pamela and I were furniture shopping. Mm-hmm. We're looking for a couch.
Right.
We go into this place. This woman, we had a baby with us, and she's like, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah." Yeah. So my husband, he had a vasectomy, and I was like, "What? Why?" I want to know what it is about my face that says, I'm really curious about the structural integrity of your husband's reproductive system.
It's probably because you didn't have a beard.
I want to know. What's the integrity like there? I think I did have a beard, though, at the time.
I think you should grow your beard back.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a couple. You know what the problem is when you shave a beard in the summertime? Is that you have this super white chin that hasn't seen the sun in a long time. Mm-hmm. So once it colors up a little bit, it will look a little bit better. Not a whole lot, but a little bit, Right. So anyway, she just told me that right off the bat.
Right.
The culture definitely is a force trying to prevent the number of children. Okay. Right. And I take it as one of my goals in life among my acquaintances, especially my non-Catholic ones, to try to convince them to have more children. If I can convince them to have one more child, I mean, that's a huge win for the universe, right? So I wanted to talk today about specifically discerning and how to discern the appropriate number of children in your family. Because
the answer is all of them.
You want all of them, right? Yeah, that is the correct answer.
How many points do I win?
1,005.
Feel good.
Yeah.
The 5th one feels great.
Right. Yeah. 1,004 would not just have been. It just wouldn't have been.
It would have been
enough.
dissatisfying.
Yeah. So there is this kind of notion that once you have 2 or 3 kids, well, that you're just going to stop because it just kind of. You assume, that's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to talk about that because it's prevalent in a lot of Catholic marriages too. People just don't even talk about it anymore. They just assume, we're done having kids, and when we get married, it's not like we sign up, and it's not like me or anybody or the church expects you to have 6 kids, 9 kids, 12 kids, 1 kid.
Right.
There is no expectation, except that you took a vow that you would accept children lovingly from God, and that they are the crown jewel of marriage. Mm-hmm. And so I want to talk about this.
Okay.
There are a couple things that I think cause a lot of confusion in this topic, that some language that the church uses when it comes to, because there's some people on the other side that say, like, basically you have to have a child every opportunity you can, unless you'll hear them, grave reasons. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay? I can't find where the church uses the word grave anywhere. I mean, of course, things like Humanae Vitae are speaking in Latin. It's written in Latin. And so you could translate some of these words as grave, but that's not the way the church herself translates these words. So this is from the Catechism.
No kidding.
Right.
I didn't know that, actually, to be honest with you, because
grave reasons does not appear in the official translations of any of these documents. Okay, so here is the Catechism 2368. For just reasons, spouses may wish to space the births of their children. It is their duty to make certain that their desire is not motivated by selfishness, but is in conformity with the generosity appropriate to responsible parenthood. Okay, so here we have the church saying just reasons. Humanae Vitae, paragraph 10, says that with regard to physical, economic, psychological, and social conditions, responsible parenthood is exercised by those who prudently and generously decide to have more children, and by those who, for serious reasons, see, it doesn't say grave reasons, it says serious, but let me just finish and then we'll talk about it. For serious reasons and with due respect to the moral precepts, decide not to have additional children either for a certain or indefinite period of time. Okay, so there's a difference between grave reason and serious reason, because the church makes a distinction between these two words when it comes to sin. Okay, so if sin is considered grave, all sin is serious, but certain sins are more than serious, they're grave. Okay, which would make it, now we're on the grounds of mortal sin. Okay, and so many people confuse the fact that grave is sometimes translated here instead of serious, that if it's not life or death, then the church is requiring you to have more children. Mm-hmm. And that's not what the church is saying. Okay? She does go on to say that you need to take this seriously. There's, responsible parenthood, and that it's up to you, the parents, to make this discernment. But this is what, especially like with a uber traditional bent, many Catholics have the notion and promote the notion that if you are delaying pregnancy for something that's basically, if it's not life or death, then you are committing a mortal sin because of this word grave. That's what it seems like is happening to me. And there are a lot of people out there who have bought into that idea, and that's just not what the church says. Okay, so because here at the beginning, in Humanae Vitae, paragraph or number 10, it's not paragraph 10, but number 10.
Sure.
She says, with regard to physical, economic, psychological, and social conditions. Okay, so those are the grounds which the church says these are serious. Serious reasons could be one of these things. Mm-hmm. Social conditions, I think that's the kind of the curious one. Like, what are the social conditions? Well, maybe you're in the middle of a war. Like if you're in Britain during World War II and your town is being air raided.
Or Poland.
Poland, right. Yeah, or you're a Jew in Nazi Germany, in the war, in the camps. Like, that might not be a great time
to have
to have children. Sure. You know what I mean? It also says, like, Simcha Fisher, she's a really good Catholic theologian. She does a lot on life issues. She also used the example, like, what if you're in China right now with the 2-child policy? If you have 2 children, if you get pregnant, the government it's a forced abortion. Mm-hmm. that is a good reason not to have children. Not that it's the child's fault, not that you're condemning that child to hell. I mean,
Right.
nothing bad about that child, but a forced abortion is something to be avoided.
Sure.
Right? So anyway,
so I think that St. Thomas Aquinas talks about, like, you know, when you're talking about, when you're discerning the amount of kids that you have, that you obviously want the benefit of having more kids is that you have more people in heaven.
Yeah.
There's more of communion of saints.
Yeah.
There's more. The body of Christ grows. This is a beautiful thing, and so that is a benefit of having more children. But I also think that there's a stigma, almost, especially in some uber Catholic circles, of, oh, you only have 2 children?
right.
Oh, well, why? You know, it's like there's a lot of emotional damage. Like there's like a lot of things that happen behind closed doors that you don't know about.
Let's talk about that on the other side of the break, because that's something
like
that needs to be
infertility is
addressed.
a real thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's good to not make sure that we're not judging other people for how many kids they have.
Right.
And just because you have more kids does not necessarily make you more holy in and of itself.
Yeah.
Although
It deserves a longer conversation. Let's pick it up.
Although you're pretty holy.
Yeah, I am. Uber holy.
Uber holy even.
Yeah.
You're calling an Uber?
It's just German.
Oh. In Portuguese, please.
Yeah. Ich spreche Sie Deutsch, ja. Uber gut.
It's Portuguese.
That's how they talk in Germany too. They talk well, Uber gut, ja.
Okay.
Sehr gut.
It's pretty good.
Wunderbar. That's a fun.
Nein.
That's a fun German word.
What?
Yeah.
Juan is really trying to get us going before we like say something.
This is the last one. Anything you want to get in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
a
actually
lot
some
of
stuff I'm
things.
going to save for the end after this one.
Okay.
I'll mention it.
Ooh, so that would be fun.
Oh, like after chalk?
After
I'm not going to stop recording.
after hours. Yeah, just keep it going.
Just let it. Hey, bro.
Just let it roll.
Let it
I can
roll.
keep it going, or I can stop.
No, just let it roll.
Okay.
Because I can. I'll know where the break is. Juan, ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1. We'll catch you next time, Juan. Gosh, I was setting you up, bud.
Willkommen Catholic Mancho. Ich heiße David. Hier Adam Minihand und Juan Posada. Tag, y'all. Tag. I said tag, y'all. Tag.
Oklahoma German.
That is German. That's real German for you
I
guys.
actually think we have like 6 people in Germany that listen to our shows.
They're going to be really impressed
They are gonna
with
be
how bad
pumped.
my German is.
They're gonna be pumped.
It's going to be... Anyway, after we're done with this episode, I just want to throw this out there that I am going to tell you guys my favorite response when people ask you, like, hey, you know where all those... You know where... You have kids... Wow, those kids, you know where they come from, right? You know, or like... You're done, right? I am gonna tell you my favorite, which I believe to be the perfect response for these types of people.
I know what he's gonna say.
Okay,
so-
I'm gonna tell you what I say, and you can use it, adapt it to your own style. So anyway, make sure to if you want to see that, if you want to hear it, go follow us on YouTube or Facebook. Well, anyway, I'll be doing that after the
Episode.
official time length of the episode is over. Okay, so you were mentioning right before the break about many people who, some people I think are prone to sort of a judgment that, and it is true that we are called to a generous marriage where we generously embrace children from God, which means we're open to all of them that He wants us to have. Okay, we don't want to exclude however many children He wants to bring and bless our marriage with. That's how many children we need to receive. Okay, so there is a temptation, I think, especially among uber traditional circles, where you see a Catholic family who has 1, 2 children, and they think, oh, you're just not willing to you're just not a good Catholic.
You're being selfish.
You're being selfish. I see you have 2 kids and a boat. Yeah, I could have a boat too if I didn't have 8 children, but right. I love God, and so I can't afford the boat. But you've got the boat and only 2 kids. I see how it is. You care about the boat more than more kids. And I just, if you have been tempted towards those feelings, I just cannot caution you enough the danger in which you tread. Okay, right, because you don't know these people. Infertility issues are prevalent among approximately 10% of married families. So you think about how many people you know. You know several. You know many people who are struggling with infertility. Okay, and so that is a huge source of pain for so many families. And so for you to add your judgments upon the deep pain that they are already feeling, because chances are they desperately want to conceive a child or another child. Right. And so you are just adding insult to injury. And
salt to the wound.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the pain that you could be adding on top of what they already experienced. Okay.
Well, I mean, I can remember when Haley and I first got married, and the doctor told us we weren't going to be able to have any kids, and I remember thinking like, okay, we're already married. This is a reality that I'm going to be living. Is that we're not going to have. I envisioned a big family. Like my family is big. Like I love having a family, and so I was envisioning a plethora of little pups running around. Right. And when we found out that was the case, it was like that was heartbeaking. And so like my heart, like because of that, my heart goes out to all those people who have infertility issues. And people, that's not your plan. You want to have children, and so. Right. And the more you try, the harder it gets, the more stress it becomes, and the less likely you actually have to be able to reproduce. And I mean, it's such a vicious cycle. And anyway.
But I think in this conversation, people spend a lot of time focusing on what are the reasons that you can delay children, and they don't think about what are the reasons why you shouldn't delay children. Okay, because given all these things that the church says, she still says that parents are not free to act as they choose in the service of transmitting life, just because they want to choose it. Okay, that there is an obligation placed upon them.
Because do you think that the reason why is because at that point they're now playing God, like they're now
right,
deciding
because you are not the author of life. You co-author life alongside of God, but He is the principal author. Okay.
Right. Okay. And I just wanted to make sure that's
fecundity. When I mentioned the Catechism earlier, 2368. That is the section on fecundity, on the transmission of life. Okay, and so the church. This is in Humanae Vitae, though. He says you are not free to choose. They're not free to act as you choose in the service of transmitting life, as if it were wholly up to them, the parents, to decide what is the right course to follow. On the contrary, they are bound to ensure that what they do corresponds to the will of God, the Creator. The very nature of marriage and its use makes His will clear. I mean, this is the constant teaching of the church. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit. What is a serious reason? Because this is the big question. Well, what is a serious reason? It's sort of like when you're in high school and you were like trying to really find out how far can I go. Like every high school boy, that is a real question. And I think and a lot of times youth ministries, we kind of avoid that issue and skirt it, and we don't just straight up address it. And I remember being there saying, I really wish someone would tell me, because I want to follow what the church says, but I don't even know what the church is saying to me, right? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Right. And luckily we had a good teacher, Professor Ken Coughlin at Bishop Kelly, who was not afraid of these questions and who were there at Bishop Kelly in high school, said, this is what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And I remember being so thankful for that. Okay.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, okay, good.
All right.
I'm going to take some notes.
Right, exactly. And, it's like my attitude towards that question wasn't the best, but at least now I knew when I was committing a sin. I knew this is a sin, and think that how that formed my thinking. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was doing in certain times, certain parts of my life. Sure. Whatever. So, when it comes to, I think there's a kind of a similar thing here. What is a serious reason to avoid? The church doesn't say. does not give specifics, but she does say those things: physical, economic, psychological, and social conditions. So if you're sick, if you have cancer, or maybe something less than cancer, maybe it's just something that is just a chronic thing. If you have emotional distress, and the church says to delay pregnancy for a certain time or maybe indefinitely, and she always leaves that up to the couple. It is up to them, because they're the ones who will stand before God to at their judgment.
We should execute the virtue of chastity,
right,
as a married couple.
And it says married chastity is critical, and it doesn't mean married abstinence. It means married chastity. Right?
Which means
just means that your sexual life is oriented towards reality. Okay, so I'm married, which means my sexual faculties have a role and a purpose, and I can engage in them in a good, holy way. Whereas someone who's not married cannot. Okay, and so she leaves it open, and I think that's wise, because if the church were to try to be more specific, you can never be specific enough to meet every criteria, every situation. And so I think she could end up creating more confusion if she were to try and venture into that treacherous territory.
It's funny
what
how
I mean?
The church is so smart, and she knows where to draw those boundaries.
So a couple do's and don'ts, I think, about actually discerning, okay?
Okay. This would be good.
Discerning the number of children in your family. It is a waste of time to try, when you get married, to say, all right, let's discern how many children. I think 4 is a good number. That is a fruitless exercise.
Sure.
Children are discerned one at a time, month to month. Okay, this is one of the great things about natural family planning, is that it gives you, it's every month the conversation comes up again. And so it keeps this, your reproductive faculties are the most powerful force that you possess.
Which I feel like that's the reason why that's the most sin involved. Like we talked about this before. Like
right.
the greater the gift, the more distorted it becomes, and that's why we see all these distortions of this greatest gift in pornography, in lust, in all these sinful behaviors.
Right. And aside from your own soul, this reproductive power is your greatest, and free will, which that's what I mean by your own soul. But this is your greatest gift, is the ability to create co-author life along with God, the true creator. Okay, so children are discerned one at a time, month to month. The question is not, should we ever have more kids? Unless you have some, like I said, a chronic condition or something that is never going to change. The question is always, should we have kids this month, right now, or should we wait till next month to talk about it again? And when there is an issue, in order to really respond with generosity, the question should be, what can we do to remove these impediments to us being that generous, having that generous marriage where we're willing to embrace more children? The word generosity, generating life, okay, it implies this life-giving thing. And if I may, that is why you have genitals. Okay, because to be generous is to be life-giving. Okay, and so we want to have a generous marriage where we do embrace all of the children. I will make you $1 million guarantee you will never regret having another child. There will be no point in your life that you look at this child and say, yeah, I wish you were never born. I wish you weren't here. I regret you. And if you do, the problem is not with them, it is with you.
Right, yeah.
But you will always, because I know people, you do too, where you say, oh, no, we're done. We can't have any more. And it's like, I'm not judging them, but if you did choose, you will always be thankful for this other child that you have for the rest of your life. Love it's not addition, it's multiplication. And if you truly want to give your children everything, you have to have at least 4, because you got to have 2 boys and 2 girls. If you want to give them everything, you got to give your sisters a sister, you got to give your daughters a sister, and your sons a brother.
Hey, congrats, dude.
Thank you.
Love you guys, and we will talk to you next week. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Okay. So now this is for everybody who has, like, maybe even with 3 kids. Because when we had 3, I started to get some of these comments. You get them too, Adam. You know,
I get them all the time. Like, dude, you're now entering a new realm.
Yeah, 4 is
You're now
like,
the weirdo.
Yeah.
Okay, because 3
is you're allowed to have 3, especially in my situation where the first 2 are girls. Oh, I'm allowed to have a third. You were trying for your boy.
Right, dude. I'm telling you, it is so crazy. Especially like in my situation where I had 2 boys and then a girl,
and then you had a
and
fourth.
then I had a fourth, and people and like I got some crazy.
The only way out
comments.
is if when someone makes a comment, you immediately say it was an accident, baby.
Right. Then you're
It's
you're
like,
excused.
oh, okay, yeah, all right,
then
yeah,
you're excused,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right.
Like, but that's like the expected response from a lot of people when they make those comments.
Or
it's like,
you know what's crazy? You know some of the comments that I get from work, like people that I work with is, so it's time to have a vasectomy.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not sure why you thought that I was interested in your perspective
in mutilating myself.
Right. What about me made you think that I was interested in your understanding of like what was going on down here?
Right.
Because I want to fix that because I don't want that to happen anymore.
Actually, my reproductive capacity, it bothers me a little bit that you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
That you're thinking about me in that way and those parts of me.
Right.
Because this is a business relationship.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It blows my mind, though, how bold people are.
Yeah.
And, man.
You know what it is? They are trying to justify their own choices in this realm. I mean, like, when a furniture...
Imagine if we were that bold, though, just evangelizing.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure it would work quite as well, you know, but... Maybe it would.
I think evangelizing in that aspect on their end has worked very well.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Peer pressure has
Peer pressure, right. But like when a furniture salesperson just throws out right away that, oh, yeah, their husband has a vasectomy, it's because they want you to validate that decision that they had. They know it was a wrong thing to do, and they're looking for a continued validation so that they can quiet the disquiet. The guilt that they feel at the back of their mind, even though they might not even be consciously aware of it, you know. And that's what all this is going on, is that as a culture, everybody knows life is good. They know it. You cannot not know that life is good. And so when you do things to thwart or lessen it, you know that
There's a lot of people that, yeah.
Well, I mean, deep down they know.
I know.
Consciously, they have convinced themselves
otherwise. I was about
otherwise.
to get super political and just blast some people, but you know what?
Wouldn't do any good.
You wouldn't do any good, and you know what? I am growing in prudence.
All right. So
it's about to blast some liberals.
The question still remains.
Anyway,
what do you say to these people?
That was inappropriate, maybe.
Okay, and I will just tell you, this is my favorite response. It works for me all the time. Now, it works for me because this is my shtick, right? So, like, I'm good at this kind of thing. You know, whenever you try to do somebody else's, like, shtick, sometimes it doesn't work. But maybe this will work for you. Take it, modify it, okay?
Adapt.
Make it your own, okay? Because when people will come and say, like, oh, well, you know where those kids come from, right? What I will do is I will tell them, like, look, when you're somebody like me who is really so much better than everybody else, okay? Like,
especially with the beard. Especially
when I have the beard, it's like, but every now and then,
exponentially,
in order to maintain my humility.
Right. Dude, I applaud you.
Thank you. Yes. So, like, I'll tell these people, like, look, here's all the rest of you people. And I like to say you people instead of everybody. Like, I could say here's the rest of everybody else. But I like to say here's the rest of you people because it now makes it more clear that I'm talking about you too. Because you're clearly dumb enough to make this kind of comment to me. Okay? Like, yes. Like, I know where kids come from. And I know that you know that I know where kids come from. Okay? And the fact that you would say it, in spite of all of these facts that we all know, makes it an incredibly dumb thing to say. And you will be punished for it, okay? So
stupidity does not go unpunished.
No. No.
Not in David Niles' world.
It does not.
It does not.
Especially not when you're talking about my kids. As if, like, I shouldn't have just had this beautiful child, right? I mean, because that's why it's offensive, is that they're, at the end of the day, saying you shouldn't have had that kid, you shouldn't have had him.
Right.
And it's like, now you're like, look, Papa Bear is going to get fierce.
Right.
Okay, so what I like to say, and I say it cheerfully, and it's just fun.
I think it's this may be the most beautiful moment of the Catholic Man Show, that David Niles referred to himself as Papa Bear. That could be, ladies and gentlemen, the best part of the Catholic Man Show in the last 4 years.
Well,
so
I think
you're welcome.
That this is a brilliant response, because you get to insult the person who just insulted you, and you get to make them laugh about being insulted, which you're not going to do. I'm not going to laugh when you insult me about myself, but we can all laugh about you being insulted. That's better for me. I like that more. So what you do is you say, like, look, when you're someone like me, who really is just so much better than all you other people, like, you're here and I'm way up here, okay? This is me. This is the rest of you guys. I just feel like I owe it to society. It's my gift to you to try to raise the gene pool as much as possible. So, like, look, for the rest of you guys, 2 children's maybe too many, okay? But for me, who knows? I'm doing it for you, okay? Because I want you to have a better world, and I'm just like I said, I'm way up here, and you're just way down here. And, like, typically, when you're saying this to somebody, they'll start chuckling throughout. You don't have to keep going for that long, and they'll kind of laugh, like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. And then you get to walk away, and, like, that guy just laughed at himself. And so did I. We both laughed at him together. It was a great moment of solidarity.
One of the things that I've said before is, multiple times actually, is, when you find out what you're good at, you keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that makes them think, like, wait, what? You figure out what you're good at, you keep doing it.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I'm really good at making kids.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep doing it.
The other thing that sometimes I will say, and this is a little bit more like politically correct offensive. It's not offensive to the person, but it's like to someone who's uber sensitive to political correctness. They might be offended by this. And
Which would not be somebody who's listening to this show right now.
No.
We're talking about...
I'm sure of it.
Right.
But, like, every now and then you'll meet, like, there's, I don't know if, like, maybe you work in a big office and this person is like, look, I'm really okay if you don't talk to me. Like, that's fine with me.
Right.
And you're obviously, like, politically sensitive. So, like, this might work because we just probably don't have much to talk about anyway. And you're insulting me and my children. So it's like when they make those comments, I'll just say, like, well, look, somebody's got to out-reproduce the Muslims. Because, like,
wait,
I like this one too because it points out that you would have never made this comment if I had a turban on.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is absolutely hilarious that this comment is the less political or the more politically correct by David Niles.
No, it's less politically correct. It is more likely to offend a politically correct person.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I thought
oh no, this is definitely less politically correct.
Okay, good.
It points out that,
agree with that.
If I were a Muslim man having 6 kids, you wouldn't say a thing to me about it.
Yeah, right.
Okay? But all of a sudden, because I'm Christian, specifically Catholic, you feel like, oh, you need to sort of like...
Let me line up my kids and you tell me which one I shouldn't have had.
Verbally oppress how many children I have.
Right.
And once again, it's fine maybe that you don't have any more, okay? Maybe you had too many. I don't know. You didn't. Actually do know that. You didn't have too many. God's will is accomplished perfectly.
And I think, so I think the reason why is because we do not understand the idea of self-sacrificial love. We don't understand that the idea of what a man is supposed to be is self-sacrificing. We are supposed to deny ourselves. We are supposed to take up the arduous. We're supposed to do the hard things.
Right. And
forget the pleasure in life for the good of the other person. And so when you're talking to other people in this, in today's culture of the idea of sacrificing some of the luxuries in life, like a bank account,
right,
like a savings account,
like a boat,
like, a nice,
nice vacations, nice
vacations,
cars.
travel, all this stuff. In lieu of having more children, this idea is a foreign concept to them.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because there are not men in this world who are standing up to give a good representation of here is what a good Catholic man is supposed to be. A good Catholic man is supposed to deny himself and pick up his cross and make sure that he is putting his family first and not himself.
So, all right, Adam, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
What do you think? Would this be considered a serious or a just cause for delaying child? If we have one more kid, we won't be able to afford to send the ones we have to college.
Okay. We're not on the podcast anymore, so that's good.
We're not on the podcast anymore.
Because I just had...
And this is an isolated situation. This is the only variable being considered. Okay,
Sure.
so we're not considering other things. All right,
Sure.
It just comes down to if we have another kid, we won't be able to send the kids we have to college. We won't be able to pay for their college.
Okay, so I just had
And you have to assume that that's even true because
there's a lot of
you can say that,
here.
but you don't actually
know if they have.
You don't know that you will be able to send the ones you have to college already.
Or
something could happen where
it depends on do they get scholarships? I mean, there's so many
right,
different
and
variables.
it's like you could lose your job tomorrow. And
sure. So you're my financial advisor. I think everybody knows this already.
Yeah.
But there's another guy who was trying to pitch me, and I was doing him to do. I'm a sales guy.
Yeah.
I'm very prone to letting a pitch happen to me because I'm a sales guy. I understand how that works. So there's another financial advisor that wanted to talk to me about my finances. Like, sure, I'll talk to you about it. And so we were going through everything, and one of the things he always, all financial advisors ask is like, well, what are your plans for college tuition for your children?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are a lot of different opinions. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is the right one.
Sure.
I could totally regret this in 15 years from now.
Okay.
I'm not saving up for my kids' college tuition.
Okay.
My family was kind enough to pay for 1 year of my college tuition,
mm-hmm.
And then I paid for I paid for the rest. And I'm doing it's a burden, like taking college college loans is not easy. It's not fun. It is has really crippled us in some ways as a family, like of things that we could have been doing but we don't get a chance to do.
It's an extra challenge.
It's an extra challenge, but you know what? I made it. I'm just fine.
Right.
It is something that I chose to do as a person, and I'm a firm believer in you're not guaranteed the ability to go to college. Like
right.
You're not.
Sure.
This is not something that everybody just gets to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you choose to go to college as as the next step, then it is your responsibility to take care of those burdens those opportunities.
Okay.
It's your responsibility to take care of those college tuition.
So what about my question? Is this serious? If we have another kid,
so my answer is no.
My answer is also no.
My answer is no because
that you're valuing
tuition over life.
Tuition over a child, and it's like
there have been many saints that have not had college tuition.
The greatest gift a father can give his children is to love their mother. The second greatest gift is a sibling. Not college tuition.
Right.
If you really want to bless your children, another child is an infinitely greater blessing than college tuition.
And
because at the end of the day, it's not only just like college tuition, because really what you're saying is, college tuition at a certain school, which comes down to a certain amount of money. You're now saying, this amount of money I want to give to my kids is going to be a greater blessing than another child.
Right. And this is just the idea.
And think about it,
right.
Like which one of your siblings would you cash in for college tuition?
Oh, Morgan, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but for you. But,
yeah. I'm just joking.
Morgan, in reality...
Morgan doesn't listen to the show. That's the reason why I said it, because she doesn't listen to the show.
But her husband might.
Daniel may. Daniel, you and I...
We're cool, man.
We're cool, bro. We're cool.
Yeah. But so it's just like I think I just really wish people would think about those things to if there is something that you say this is my hang up about having another child, what problem solve to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Because you will be happier with more children. In fact,
it'll be well, hold on. I just want to make sure we understand what happy means, because like it's going to be more difficult. There are going to be more burdens.
You will be a more satisfied person.
I think that's a better because English language sucks. Happy.
Well, okay, like there are trials with Parenthood, but they're not unhappy.
Oh, dude, I've been very unhappy.
No, they might be frustrating. They are frustrating, but they don't cause unhappiness. You know what causes unhappiness? Being alone. Having no one causes unhappiness, which is far too many people dying in nursing homes because they bought into the lie of having 1 or 2 kids, and so that's all they have, and they never come to visit them. So I remember I was like 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that area, the first time I realized the beauty, like really for my own self, the beauty of a large family. My mom is one of 9. And I remember going to my grandpa's house. He's old. He's old at the time. He's not alive now, but and watching him basically surrounded by an army of family. He's got his kids and all of his grandkids. I think when he died, he had 36 grandkids. Okay. I mean, just an army of family, and just I could see the joy that it brought to him. He was a man. He had spinal stenosis, which is where your spinal cord shrinks. Not your spinal cord, but the hole in your spine that the spinal cord goes through. The bones shrink and squeezes your spinal cord, and it causes just incredible amounts of pain in your whole body. And the doctor told him that his was the worst case he'd ever seen. So he was a man who lived in constant pain everywhere. But just to see the joy that man in immense suffering, but still had this joy. Why? Because of his family. Because he was a man who welcomed generously 9 children, who lived a poor life because of it, but was, never, ever, ever poor in the ways that really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just hope that we can kind of turn a corner as a culture where we say, you know what, I'm going to reject the message that the culture is feeding us. I am going to embrace a large family, even if the culture says I'm weird, even if it makes me a weirdo to everybody else, because I want to live I want to be generous, and I want to have all the blessings that God is giving me.
Yeah. And cooperate with life,
with His divine, because ultimately we will have to give account for the children that we did not welcome, that He wanted us to.
See, that's the thing. When we make the act of contrition and we say, for those that for what I have done and what I have failed to do. I've talked about this before. It was a long time ago on this on this show. But one of the things that I am a firm believer in is not necessarily the worry that we're going to have, the shame that we're going to have in the things that we did, but the shame that we're going to have in the things that we did not do. All the times that we cowered down, all the times that God gave us the opportunity to spread His kingdom, to evangelize people, to say yes to grace and no to sin, and we opted not to cooperate with that. The idea of I think when we say the act of contrition, and we say, for what I have done and what I have failed to do, we gloss over the idea of what we have failed to do so many times, to the point of we don't really understand all the things that we failed to do, all the magnanimous things that God wants us to do.
Magnanimous.
You like that?
Yeah.
Things that God wants us to do.
Right.
That we are not bold enough to say yes to.
Yeah, and as I've grown in my own life, that's like more, because there was a time, and I still do struggle with this, examining my conscience before I go to confession. In like humiliates me when it's been a month. I should go to confession. I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? And that's only because I'm not honestly examining my conscience.
Because
lately I've been doing better. Since Easter, I've been doing much better examining. I'm remembering to do it at the end of the night.
Nice.
Which is pretty good, right?
Way to go, man.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't know why.
I was about to sucker punch you.
I don't know why.
Now I'm going to back out.
Good. You almost judged too soon, my friend.
Yeah, you're right.
So
actions have consequences.
They do. Indeed, they do.
Mm-hmm.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Isn't it funny how the principles of physics and spirituality are one and the same? There is a spiritual reality to every physical reality. That's something that I think about sometimes. Demons, for instance, enter your house through the doors and windows.
Right.
Because there is a spiritual reality to the fact that this is an entryway into the house. So, that's why people will often hang the Benedictine cross over the doorway, because that's the entryway. That's the portal.
Right.
And
even though they're spiritual beings, they're confined to physical realities.
Well, because there is a reality,
right,
spiritual and physical, around, there's spiritual consequences to physical realities. Anyway, but the same is true when it comes to, the number of children we have. God, and I've got a quote in here.
Okay.
It says something about that.
Was it something I said? Probably.
No.
Most likely. Was it something Juan said?
No. It was just something I read earlier.
I feel like that it's not going to be as good then.
Yeah, and maybe I didn't put it in. Oh, you know what? We didn't. Let me just talk about these real quick. Peter Kreeft's 5 principles for discerning.
He has 5.
Yeah. I wanted to.
I feel like 3 would be too little. 7 would be hold on. 5 is good.
7 could be good too.
7's
it's a good number.
It's a good number.
Yeah, the church likes 7.
Isn't it funny how we say odd numbers or 4? It's you're missing out on one. You're missing out.
Or that last one was really too many.
Right.
So 5. Always begin with data. So he says, judge the unknown by the known. The uncertain, judge it by the certain. Okay? Adam and Eve did not do this in the garden.
They did not do what?
They did not follow this principle. They were so the devil came and implanted a seed of doubt. But what they did not, and so there was I'm not sure. There was this element of uncertainty now. What to do? Do we eat the apple? Do we not? What they should have done is judged the uncertain by the certain. What do we know? God told us not to do it.
Right.
Okay.
The devil works so great whenever he just plants those seeds of entertaining the idea of committing this sin. Right. It's I should not entertain this idea at all because this is not something I should be doing. That's why you say you don't make decisions when you're hungry, tired, or lonely.
Yeah.
Because because at that point,
hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed one.
Halt.
So that was pretty good. 75%.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the first one, is always begin with data when you're discerning. Okay.
Right.
Number 2 is let your heart educate your mind. And what he means by this is that the more we come to love God, the more we come to have knowledge of him. And so we should let, sometimes it's you're not letting God speaks to us very often in our hearts. Mm-hmm. He tugs at our heartstrings, Sure. And so be receptive to those feelings. Sometimes discernment sometimes involves feelings. We downplay feelings a lot on the show because what we're talking about here is something moral or unmoral. In the realm of morality, well, that just feels mean is not a reason why that makes it immoral, okay? But when we're talking about discernment, of course, you have to be talking about moral choices. So if one of them is immoral, obviously start with data.
Well, and the reason why
that's why the start with data is first. Right. Next, among moral choices, do you have a feeling, because God will guide your heart that way?
Well, and the understanding of whenever you're saying guide your feelings is that you have a well-formed conscience.
A well-formed conscience, right.
Okay.
Number
Keep
3
going.
is have a soft heart but a hard head. So let your heart be moved by love,
Well,
and
you
your
got that-
head.
You got that taken care of.
Yeah, your head stand firm in principles. Yeah.
Solid.
I mean, I didn't even feel that.
Yeah. Actually hurt my fingers.
Number 4, all of God's signs should line up. This is ideally that Scripture, church teaching, human reason, the appropriate situation or circumstance, your conscience, and our personal bent or preference, along with prayer, should all agree. Okay, so those are 7 tools that the church has given us for discerning. And so
The church or Peter Crift?
well, no, those are like, well, they're all things of the church. I don't know if there's actually something like from the church, that says, but those are all gifts of God that he has given us to guide us in our lives. So I'll read them again. Scripture, church teaching, human reason, the appropriate situation or circumstance, conscience, personal bent or preference, and prayer. Okay, and personal bent or preference, like sometimes it is that easy. If you like all things between 2 morally good choices that both seem very good. Well, do you prefer one? Because God gave you a specific, he made you a certain way. He gave you certain gifts, certain talents. So you probably will prefer the one that you're better at. And sometimes it is as simple as that. If ceteris paribus, all of the things being equal, sometimes that can be the good thing. And then finally, look for the fruits of the Spirit. He says, especially love, joy, and peace. If you have love, joy, and peace around a decision, then that's a very good sign that this is God's will for your life.
Sure.
If you do not have peace, if you've kind of decided something, but you just don't have peace about it, he says that's a sign that this is not the decision. And so then you should, if you don't have peace, well, why don't you? Like, what is it that is troubling you? Because maybe it's just fear.
No, I agree.
Maybe you're afraid. Like we're talking about having kids. Maybe you're afraid having another kid.
After our first one, we were afraid because Luke was not an easy kid.
Yeah, and so
there was a little apprehension.
Yeah, and that's normal.
I'm not sure if I can do this.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, I was praying about this in adoration today. Like, if there's one person in the world who has another kid who hears this podcast and says, you know what, yes, I will be open. If just one more child is the result of today's work, it will be a truly glorious.
And hopefully they die not in the state of mortal sin and get to go to heaven, and then and hopefully we do the same and we get to high five each other once we're in heaven.
I was actually praying today, said, God, if there is a soul, like if one more child is the result of this podcast today, let it be a boy and let him be a priest.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And, to serve.
Would it be specific in prayer?
To work in the service of love.
Would it be specific?
Thank you. It's just what came to me today.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
We're done.
St. Joseph, pray for us.